Cllr Maírín McGrath, Seanad Cordóí agus an Cllr Tom Buick as an Goira agus is more an honour of an shot in you. I'm a first-time serving councillor. I was elected at the age of 21, and I'm very glad of the opportunity to reflect on my role as a public representative here today. I've had the opportunity to take part in the Young Elected Politicians programme with the Committee of the Regions in Brussels since my election, and it's in those engagements with my European counterparts that I really realise how weak our local government structure is in Ireland. It's embarrassing and it's somewhat insulting that such little regard is made for our councillors, the representatives who are at the cold face of the political system in Ireland. And so the recent report from the Council of Europe highlighting Ireland's underfunded local government system came as absolutely no surprise. In fact, the same body previously issued another damning report back in 2013 warning that Ireland's local government was too centralised at that time, and this was a year before the so-called Putting People First Local Government Reform Act was enacted in 2014, seeing the loss of our town councils and the devolution of many powers from councillors and local government. This really did the opposite of putting people first, because the public were and still are the biggest losers in this saga. Local authorities have little power, and we have reducing autonomy to carry out the most basic services that we once were expected to do. We're critically under-resourced and underfunded, and I see this particularly in the areas of road funding and essential maintenance, because we're micromanaged from the likes of the TII and the NTA. Successive governments have prioritised central control over local democracy, but we have an unbelievable level of overreach from government departments and state bodies and their policies. But a one-size approach does not and should not work in national policy making. A reserved function of local authority members is the formation of county development plans and local area plans, and I value the opportunity that I had over the last couple of years to be involved in both processes, but it became increasingly clear that the power of the councillor to form their own plans is being eroded due to the overriding power of the Office of the Planning Regulator. The OPR was set up to ensure transparency and oversight in development plan making, or so we understood, but their powers are much greater than that. They dictate and overrule the councillors. The local elected representatives should have the ultimate power to make our own development plans, and as a rural councillor who deals with a lot of planning queries, I just despair at some of the regulations that we face on a daily basis in our representative role. Another example, and this has been raised, is the removal of water services from county councils to Cllr, and it has been an unmitigated disaster, and the exasperations that lie amongst the public, particularly in South Tipperary, is immense. Centralisation of public services does not work, and I should not have to ring a call centre in Cork to report a water outage in a rural village in South Tipperary. I'm one of the youngest councillors in the country at the moment. However, I see a huge issue with the retention of young first-time councillors. As many of you know, I've been in politics, engaged in politics since forever. I grew up in a political family, and how else would I be mad enough to be in this role? But I am fortunate to work as a part-time secretarial assistant in this in the House of the Oireachtas with Deputy McGrath, and this affords me the opportunity to act as a full-time and flexible public representative, and it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge that, because I see from councillors here with us today and councillors in my own chamber the difficulties that they have in balancing their role as a public representative with a second employment that is not engaged in the political system. And the role is hands-on. We are always at the end of the phone. We're considered to be a part-time job, but it's not. It's a role that needs proper respect, resources, and proper subsistence. My final point, in preparation for today, I watched the previous session of the consultation that took place back in November, and the councillors here and the councillors then were all saying a lot of the same issues, and one of the issues that was raised in November was the concerns over the joint policing committees and the structures, the model changing to community safety partnerships. And this concern the councillors had about the removal of councillors' role in this model. Councillors are the first port of call in communities of all sorts of issues, including crime and antisocial behaviour. However, despite this being raised as an issue in November, in December, senators here still passed and progressed this legislation for this model, and this was disappointing to see. So I do ask that what we are saying here today will actually be taken on board and acted upon. Look, as I finish up, I do want to say I do enjoy my role, despite the frustrations I have aired over the last couple of minutes. I love and I suppose cherish the last 4.5 years I've had as a local community representative, public representative, and I can honestly say that every day I've learned something new in the role. The job brings so many unique encounters and experiences, but it's becoming increasingly difficult to do the job that the public elected us to do. I wish the committee well in their work, and I hope that by us being here, what we're saying will be taken on board by the powers that be and will be acted upon, so that for councillors now and into the future, and faith of the public can be restored in our local government structures, and at the core of it all, that the services that the local government provides will actually improve for the locality and its people. Garth Míle Maith,